Okay, so now we coming to the main source of the main content of the Shanta Sudaras. The whole purpose of the Shanta Sudaras is to generate the bhavana. It's a bhav granth. It's not a knowledge. It's not something that you can just read and put it away. It's bhavana is something that you have to become saturated with. And bhavana is your firm belief. It's more than a belief even. It becomes you. You become that. It's like if you have firm conviction, you cannot describe it, but it's there. So bhavana is something you have to really take a bath in bhavana. Basically you absorb that bhavana so deep in yourself, so that becomes your way of life. So there is no question, there is no discussions, there is nothing about bhavana. Bhavana is bhavana. Bhavana is something that's what you are. So there are 16 bhavanas that are being described by Vinay Vijayji Maharaj, and in this Shanta Sudaras. So 16 bhavanas they're almost like a medicine. Like any time you are in trouble, if one of those bhavanas you remember and you get over it. So there are 16 bhavanas. We're gonna go step by step. The first bhavana is anitya bhavana. Nitya means permanent. Anitya means impermanent. So bhavana is when you have that, once you realize, once you understand, and then you brood over it, and then you become with a firm conviction, yes, this is, I believe. So, and once you get absorbed into that bhavana, or the bhavana gets absorbed into you, you're assimilate with each other so completely that you walk around with it all the time. And it's almost like somebody who had a heart attack and has a nitroglycerin tablets carrying with them all the time. Right. Anytime they have chest pain, they use it right away. Right. And then it gets them out of the trouble. Right. The same way, these bhavanas have to be used in that fashion, that you are like a storage of these bhavanas. You walk around with it, and any time any odd situations arises, and when you're losing your samta, like most of the day you're okay, but once in a while something comes up that jolts you, and you can get carried away, you can get very upset. But if you have that bhavana with you, inside you, you can use it. And that nitroglycerin, it works like nitroglycerin.
No prescription needed.
No prescription needed. It's yours. You are out of business.
No reference needed.
So, good morning. So, bhavana, it works immediately if you give it a chance. You have to use it, you have to get absorbed in it, and you have to carry with you, so you are never apart from it. It becomes you. You don't have to think about it. It is you. It becomes your second nature. And when that happens, you are making headways in the right direction. These bhavanas are something that's going to take you to the next level. In your platform, you become higher and higher. And then ultimately you start dropping your connections and you reaching towards the samadhi. So anitya bhavana is the first bhavana we're talking about. Nitya is something that is permanent. Anitya is something that is not permanent. Now, anytime you're walking around in this world, and if you have that bhavana in your mind all the time, that whatever I see, whoever I see, whatever situation I go through is anitya.
Oh, okay.
Anitya, anitya, anitya. Whatever I do, anything, your car, your keys, your friends, your wives, your children, your money, your careers, your whatever you see is anitya. As long as you have that bhav all the time, imagine the benefits of it.
So it's just a temporary thing. Whatever
Is that, whether you are you're doing extremely well or you're doing very poorly, it's anitya. Your bad times are anitya. Your good times are anitya. So you never miss anything good that you did. You enjoy it while you are going through it, but that's the end of that.
But knowing that it's going
knowing
to go
that
away.
it's going to go away anyway. You go through every single thing.
Right.
It's also going to go through. So, what makes us believe that there is some element of permanence in this situation is our mistake. Is the problem with your mind. The mind has its own problems because the mind sees the situation only headways, not the tailways. Whatever is in front of us, we look at it in a manifest form. It's like a coin that is shown to us. We either see the head or the tail, but not both at the same time. Mind is not capable of seeing the both angles at the same time. And whenever it sees the tail, it forgets the head. Whenever it sees the head, it forgets the tail. That is the nature of the mind. There is no way it can see both at the same time. And it sees both as an individual entity. So it sees whatever form is in front of it, it sees, and obviously it's not going to last long. It says as a two separate thing, it gets attached to one, and by the time it comes, so it sees as a two separate entities, but not realizing this is a revolving door. It's a continuous process that mind cannot see, because mind has limited existence. It sees only through the senses. The senses create the total picture that is in front of us, but the part of the total picture which is the unmanifest, you cannot see. Good morning. When you see the chicken, you don't see the egg. Egg is there, we know that. Chicken is going to come up with the egg sooner or later, and when you see the egg, you don't see the chicken. So it's a revolving door, and it does not let us. So we have a problem with our vision. Our vision we use is a limited way. We never think of the global aspect of it. Even though we are capable of doing it, we don't see it. So the problem is with us. We have a limited way of seeing this world, and yet we find the faults with the world. What's wrong with this world? Why aren't they coming to the peace? Why is this? Why is this wrong? Why isn't Obama doing this and that? And we complain about every single aspect of this world, and that makes us unhappy. Not realizing it's our own mind that's not seeing the total picture. So whatever situation is in front of us, if we start seeing in a total global aspect, and that's going to happen only if we have a perspective which is in relation to some permanence. As long as we realize that the same molecules were making dinosaurs 165 million years ago, the same molecules are making us. It's just a common sense that the molecules are not created different. The same molecule comes in our body, makes us a human being. The same molecules, once it leaves us, we breathe out, we excrete, we urinate, everything goes in the same molecules, makes a chicken. What's the difference? It's the same molecules keep rotating around. Everything is a raw material. Everything is a raw material. You are a raw material for the next animal, or vice versa. We could become, if we really attach ourselves to these molecules, we could become a dog in 20 months or 20 days or 2 months or something like that. The same molecules keep on rotating, yet our body consciousness is so solid that we believe that this is me and we don't want to give it up. And that's where all this suffering comes in, because we never look at it from the perspective of the permanence. When we look at the permanence, so that's why we need that angle of the idea of the permanence. And when we don't have that idea, we look at everything and then we're trying to find something permanent within this impermanent thing. It's not going to happen. And that's why we suffer. So the problem is the lack of samyak darshan. Samyak darshan is the Jain word. It's where you have a total knowledge of any object, is a total evolution, total idea of the total knowledge of any object. That's will remove all your attachments.
Like seeing both sides.
Seeing both sides, right? So even in the same form, if you look at a girl, that girl was a young girl, innocent girl, and she's going to become an old woman also at the same time. You're not going to carry away the form that's coming to you. right at that particular moment. And if you do get carried away, and then if you find out that 10 years later or 5 years later, it's not the same that you like the form. I like this house, these schools reunions are amazing. How you see the same person, that you used to care about so much, and now all of a sudden the nature has done its job on you and on her or him or both.
But it's usually
Now it comes as a shock.
Yeah.
You don't realize.
You don't realize for yourself.
Right.
You still think that you are the same one, and until you and when you're laughing at other people are laughing at you,
Right.
and it's a joke. So we don't realize we keep on having the same illusion that these objects have. So Rajneesh gives a very good example of a guy who has accumulated 5 bricks of gold, right, in his lifetime, and he put that away. Now he's getting old. He doesn't see very well, but every day he's so happy. He goes, he opens the lock, he touches it, and he feels good.
Right.
And it's in the dark, but he feels that he has secured 5 bricks of gold, and he's so happy. Now his son had a little different idea about it. He said, what good is the money if you don't use it? So he takes it out, and he puts a lead bricks in front, in place of that. But the old guy is happy. He touches it, it feels the same, no difference, right? And then now the days are passing by, he's coming to an end of his life. He says, let me just make sure everything is there. I'm going to give it to my son and things like that. I want to make sure, bring them. And all of a sudden they realize that these are the bricks of lead,
Right.
not the gold. So he feels very upset. Obviously he knew it's the son's doing. So he gets very upset. At the same time he starts laughing. He says, all this time I thought that was gold. So I enjoyed my life thinking this was gold.
Right.
Turns out if it is lead, it gave me the same pleasure, not knowing,
Right,
and
right.
now I'm with this, So it shows how elusive this world is. This world can give you pleasure for nothing, and yet we think that this is it, not recognizing that there is a higher pleasure that is available. So Ram and Kam are 2 extremes. So when we are in enjoying the calm of the money, the people, the pleasures of the world, it gives us the illusion, but it never gives us the real thing, which is Ram. The Ram is something that's what you are. Your internal nature, you are your existence, your Sat, Chit, Anand, that's all inside you. We never care about that, but we keep on running and running and running. And that is so elusive, because the nature of calm is to keep it illusion. It's just how the nature of Ram is Sat, Chit and Anand. It's permanent pleasure. It's always available. When you close your eyes, when you meditate, you forget about the whole world. You're imbibing yourself with that permanent pleasure. That is always there, whether you're a 9-year-old or 10-year-old or 70-year-old. You have the same pleasure. It never gets old. It's a permanent source of pleasure for you. But we neglect that. And instead of that, we keep running after. And every time you want to run after the objects of the pleasure, first of all, you have to think about it. The thoughts come to an action, mind comes to an action, then the object has to be achieved. So you have to go through series of steps and efforts and everything to achieve that object. Then you have to worry about the object. Nobody takes it away. If they take it away, then you realize it's the brick of lead instead of gold, then it hurts you.
Right.
And all these things for what? Ultimately you have to give up anyway. Whatever life gives you, the death takes it away. Either life takes it away, and if life doesn't take it away, the death takes it away. That's for sure.
But say that what life gives you, when you die, you lose more
Of course.
than
What you started out with,
with.
yeah. Because you
Because
lost
all
your
your
peace.
memories,
Yeah.
you lose
Absolutely.
everything.
Everything.
You
Everything
lose-
is, the hard drive is all formatted. And you start all over again anyway. So what did you gain? Nothing.
मतलब आए थे तो मुट्ठी बंद थी,
Right.
जाए तो मुट्ठी खुली कि सब लूट गया.
Exactly.
I had the house, I had the family, I had
Right,
this,
right.
I had that. I lost everything.
And you know all these things, and yet we do all these
But
things.
still you are attached.
We keep on doing it. It's like a herd of sheep are going in one direction. We are just so afraid to change the direction. And that's why we suffer. We are afraid to open up that last pocket that Mullah Nasruddin, he says, no, that one pocket I cannot open. I cannot search into that pocket because what if he's not there? So we are afraid to dive into the unknown because we are so used to that routine, the mundane things. It becomes like a habit for us. That it's like a carrot that's shown to you. You just keep running. It's like a rat race. You don't know anything else. And it's pathetic, and then that's where the suffering comes in, right? So Ram is like a true friend. Like you can wake him up in the middle of night and he will be always there. Like you ask him, he's always there to help you. Whatever his capacity is, he's there. And versus a friend who is there with you only the good times. Or you want to have a drink? Come on, let's have a drink. But you want him to work? Oh no. Shakuban went through that experience, right? You see the difference. There are some friends who are always willing. Like Deepu, you call him, whatever his capacity, he will be there to help you. If he cannot, he'll say, okay, I cannot. That's not my capacity, but at least within his capacity is always there. He's like readiness. That's all you need. Sometimes you don't need actual help, but the readiness at least is there. At least listen. At least listen. Tons of problems you give to him. At least he's there to listen. There are some friends who don't want to hear anything. Forget about helping. That's another story. You don't want to hear anything. Right? So that's like calm is not there to help you. Calm is not there to satisfy at all. But it's an illusion it gives you that it will satisfy. But it's like murugja, it's a mirage. You just keep running because that is the nature of calm. That is the nature of the material pleasure. If you get satisfied, then what's the point? Because again, there is nothing wrong with material world. There is nothing wrong. There's something wrong with your mind. It's your mind that thinks there is something to achieve. And that's where the problem is. So ultimately, there is nothing wrong with owning all these pleasures, but it's the mind that makes you think that you own it. The ownership is wrong. So problem is still with your mind. There's nothing wrong with the material world. But the problem is the mind keeps on creating the new illusions that, okay, you have achieved so much, now you have more to achieve. And then the body is a slave to the mind. So again, the cycle never ends. First you accumulate and it never ends. First you accumulate 10,000 rupees, $10,000, then $100,000, then $1 million, then $2 million. Well, 500 million, not enough. You're not a billionaire yet. And then it just never ends. So, like I said, there is only two impermanent things. I mean, there are two permanent things. One is Atma, or the Paramatma, and the desires. Desires, because desires are also created by Paramatma. It's the Maya, it's the illusion. So whatever is creation of the God has to be impermanent, right? I mean the permanent. So the desires are also permanent. So that's an illusion we are all living in. But we just have to change the direction. So once we realize that whatever is outside is impermanent, that's going to bring your focus into samta level. Okay, whatever I have, I enjoy the moment, but then move on. The problem is the mind is too slow. Even though we think that mind is the fastest thing, it's faster than speed of light, obviously. I can be on the moon in this second. The light cannot travel. So mind is faster than anything else in the world, but it still is not able to catch up with the things, which are changes that is happening. If it was sinking, like whatever is in front of you, in the moment you say it becomes old. But at that moment, if the mind is ready to break that connection with whatever is there, then mind is keeping sinking with the change. But it's not. Mind is too slow. Either it's too fast and thinks of the future, or it's too slow and it attaches itself to the present and keeps on dragging the old moments, makes you suffer in the present moment. So there is a lot of disharmony. There is no harmony. So that's what Mahavir did. In 12 years of samadhi he did. He says, whatever knowledge came from his interaction with the forest or whatever thoughts came in, he learned and unlearned. He learned and unlearned continuously.
Why did you do that?
because to break the connection.
Okay.
So whatever is in front of you, if you break the connection, then you are not affected by it in the present moment. That's the only way to enjoy the present, is to forget the past, and at the same time not to run too fast into the future, which is not there yet, to enjoy the sinking of the moment. This is your only gateway. The present is the only gateway to go headways into, to expand from shunya, where you dissolve your ego completely. Because ego comes into action only when you want to revive the past or have a shekchali for the future.
Right.
So that's the only way the mind comes into action. But in the present moment, there is no value for the mind. There is no use for the mind. Mind means ego. Ego means identification. If there is no identification, where is the mind? The mind means sansar. The sansar is not the outside world. So again, these are all wrong interpretations has been done for all these thousands of years. Like people say, leave the sansar, go into the Himalayan mountains. You carrying your sansar here.
Right.
Your sansar is here.
Right.
You can be here in the middle of doing everything that you're doing and give up the sansar.
And still be.
It's all internal.
Let me add you something. That past and future, it's
Right.
not years or months or days.
Mhm.
Millisecond is also
Milliseconds.
past.
Even
Right.
milliseconds is
Millisecond
microseconds
is
is
past.
not
Microsecond,
enough.
yes.
Even microseconds is not enough.
That's why my Guruji taught you. Like,
Yes.
it's Maya is nothing, but what you see is not true. Means what you see is past. Even in millisecond, it's past. The whetu pani hoy na,
Right,
it's,
exactly.
it's not there because what you see is
Exactly.
gone already.
That's what the Rajneesh gave the example of the hunters, right? The two hunters
Yeah.
were ready to shoot the rabbit,
Right.
right? With their the guns and everything, they were ready to pull the trigger, and all of a sudden one rabbit jumps, goes from one vegetation into another. So the guy says, "We are expert hunters. What happened?" Well, the guy says, "By the time the rabbit jumped, then I realized the rabbit was there." So it's like that quick. The consciousness, it has astronomical speed.
And the biggest limitation is still mind limitation is it's measurable.
Right.
Once you measure it,
Then
it's
it's gone.
limited. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's
Yeah,
what
that's
we call
slow.
it.
Yeah, it's
Right.
slow.
The matter.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about. Matter. By the name matter itself is meter. It came from meter.
Right.
Meter means to measure. So everything that you see
Right.
is measurable.
And if it's
even the
measurable,
moments-
It's
gone.
limited. Yeah.
And by
It's
the time you
limited.
measure it, it's gone.
Whatever
So-
you measured is history.
Yeah.
The only thing in this material world that is only thing that is immaterial is the present moment. That cannot be measured. Because by the time you measure, it's too late.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why they call it a window through which you can expand into the huge infinite universe. You have to dissolve yourself. You have to become shunya. Shunya means your mind is shunya, your thoughts are immaterial. You just get rid of all your thoughts, nirvichar, nirvikalp, and then you reach samadhi. So when you realize that whatever is in front of you is anitya, is not gonna last, there's a constant change happening. Change is God. Change is the God. So when you see the change, you see the beauty, how quickly the things change. The flower that blooms in the morning, it wilts in the evening. Now, the worst thing you can do is get attached to that flower. It's stupid to get attached to that flower because you know it's gonna wilt. And when you know it's gonna wilt, and when you like the change because something else is ready to bloom, that flower that is gonna wilt is gonna become a substratum for the next flower to bloom tomorrow. And you see the beautiful changes that is happening in front of you, and you love that change. Where is the attachment? You detach yourself to the whole this material world. In fact, the faster the change, you better appreciate the God. The Paramatma is in the rising sun, but not the getting attached to that rising sun. Oh my God, that beautiful sunrise is gone. But the sunset is coming.
Right.
And even the middle of the day, it has its own beauty.
Right.
This morning, after you left, we were going down, and the park we were coming up. The sun was coming at an angle. and there was a beautiful plant of Andromeda. It's a common plant, it's an evergreen plant, and the sun was shining at an angle. There was so much freshness,
Right.
and there was so much liveliness. It had some flowers in it, its own flowers, not necessarily the most beautiful flowers, but it had like vibrant energy.
Right.
It was just a simple bush.
Right.
I just felt like just spend 2 seconds with the plant. I just put my fingers on its little palm on it, and I just felt it. That moment is dynamic,
Right.
is beautiful, and that is always gonna be there. If not that, something else. Something is always happening. That's how they say if somebody dies, you look at your son, and that diverts your attention. And you, as long as that impermanence is a constant factor, you keep that in mind, there is nothing to get attached to, and you move on. And that dynamism that is there, that's what you want to go to. And then you realize, so Ram and Kam, they are two different directions. You cannot have one or the other. You cannot have both at the same time. Either you go this way or you go that way. You cannot go both ways.
Right.
So whatever is flowing, is gonna flow continuously. So whoever you like, whichever object that you like, whatever possessions you have, they're gonna constantly keep changing. So saturate your mind with this vow that nothing in this world can stay forever.